If there's one thing I've learned, it's that getting outside is always worth it, no matter the weather. Welcome to Humans Outside, where we're building a life around spending time in nature while learning from fascinating outdoor-minded guests. I'm Amy Bouchatz, a journalist originally from the beach in California, now working to love nature from my home in Alaska. Since September 2017, I've spent at least 20 consecutive minutes outside every single day, no matter what. Ready to hear from experts and outdoor lovers who make heading into nature just a part of who they are while we work to do the same? Let's go! Back in 2017, when I started my Humans Outside daily challenge of getting outside for at least 20 minutes a day, no matter what, it was because I had seen glimpses of the way spending time in nature helped me feel better both mentally and physically, and I wanted to create a habit that would push me to get out there every day. We had moved here to Alaska a year before in pursuit of a fresh start, but I found I wasn't getting outside quite the way I had hoped I would. I needed to create some daily intentionality. Today's guest also leaned into building a new habit as a way of getting her outside weekly. What started as Karla Amador's New Year's resolution to go on 52 hikes, one hike a week, over a year, has grown into a global community and challenge. Both Karla and I got outside as part of a habit, realized how transformational it could be, and looked for ways to bring people like you along for the journey. Today, as we kick off season 4 of Humans Outside and re-energize start our outdoor habit with the beginning of a new season, Karla is going to help us with her own habit building advice. Karla, I'm so excited to welcome you to Humans Outside.
Hi, thank you for having me, Amy.
Okay, so we start our episodes talking about our favorite outdoor space with our guests. We like to envision ourselves having a conversation with you in your favorite outdoor space. So you tell me, where are we with you today?
Yeah, one of my favorite places in the world, there's two, so I'll give you two great places, is Joshua Tree. I absolutely love Joshua Tree and backpacking there, and I like going when it's not hot. So spring and fall and winter. But anyhow, yeah, I just love the rocks, and I feel like there's just so much beautiful energy out in those lands. Or we would be at a place called Big Pine Lakes, and it's just beautiful in the Sierra Range. And you hike up about, I believe it's 5 miles to the lakes, and they are just absolutely stunning. And it's just such a beautiful place. And every time that I need to go to a calm, beautiful place, that is like the go-to spot.
Oh man, and you mentioned Joshua Tree. It's such a unique space too that literally you can't find what you find there anywhere else in the world. It's just but yes, go there when it's not hot, guys, cuz whoo, it gets really toasty there. But it's worth that. It's not that far out of LA, and it's worth that trip.
Correct. It's only like a 2.5 maybe hour drive. And you can do it in a day. You get up early, get in your car, 6 a.m. You'll be in Joshua Tree by like 9, enjoy the park for the day, go have a coffee or some yummy food in the little town. It's just such a great way to spend a day in a park. Like you said, that's super unique. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so give us a little bit of background. Have you always been someone who's drawn to spending time in nature?
Absolutely not. Actually, that's a
Me
funny
neither, buddy.
story. Well, that's great. Yeah. And I think that's why it was so impactful, for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, I was not a hiker at all. I used to think that hikes gave me headaches. I used to be the girl who literally thought life was about having brand name, you name it, because I was so empty and unfulfilled internally. I mean, just completely not in a good place. So that's actually the starting point of the 52 hike challenge story is I was going through a divorce, and it really made me question who I was. It made me question myself and my values and I mean everything. And yeah, so no, not a hiker. I was really kind of living this life of vanity and thinking things would fulfill me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally resonate with that. I'm not sure I would characterize myself as living a life of vanity so much as I was just very focused on production and work. I mean, that's something I still struggle with, but I am always looking to fix other people, which is how we got to Alaska, and never really taking time to think about what I needed to do to fix me. Um, which isn't which fixing yourself can help you fix other people, so there's that. But I didn't really think about that. And I was categorically not an outdoor person. Like, why would you do that?
Uh, you know, it's so funny as you're saying that because actually that's also my story. You know, I landed myself in
Mm.
CODA, which is Codependence Anonymous,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
I was like trying to fix, my partner at the time, my
Mhm.
ex-husband at the time, and I was so miserable. And everything you said, trying to fix others, and what nature gave me and why I'm so passionate about it is that, and I would say it's one of the tools I've used in my healing journey, but it was that it gave
Mhm.
me time to just focus on myself. And I had never given myself the time to do that because I was afraid and because I didn't want to deal with my emotions and my feelings. And that's
Right.
really so powerful that nature creates a space for us to really just be with ourselves.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about how the 52 hike challenge was born.
Yeah. So yeah, basically I was going through the divorce and I ended up having another business at the time and I ended up meeting my co-founder now, who's also my fiance now. And
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. But yeah, he was an avid mountaineer and hiker, and I was really inspired by his photos. Actually, after sitting down and having done a visualization exercise with someone, and I, again, was not a hiker, but in the visualization, saw myself in Machu Picchu and seeing how
Mm.
gorgeous, the views were, and this idea of putting on a backpack and kind of being free, and that was the vision that came to me. So when I met him, I was inspired by his story because he had lost 80 pounds through hiking.
Mm. Mhm.
And kind of, we went on a hike, and I, for the first time in like a year and a half, felt hope again after being in this depression of going through this divorce and trying to figure out who I was. And just thought to myself, wow, this is like the first time I feel good in a really long
Mm.
time. So 2014 set myself a goal to go hike once a week for a year, not thinking anything of it, but it was absolutely one of the most transformational things that I've ever been through. And I'm very grateful to nature, and even the painful time that I was going through for that, because that's really why I created and launched the 52 hike challenge that you now see. It was because I was in
Mhm.
so much pain and I wanted to help others to find another way to deal with themselves that was productive, helpful, and transformative.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. It's like that we receive that gift from going outside and from spending time in nature. And then put it back into the world. I have my faith background would be characterized probably as, I say, like Protestant. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, but so I see this connection to nature as being a gift from God, what I understand God to be, right? But
Mhm.
I think
Yep.
that no matter what your faith background is or is not, nature has this gift for you. And
Mhm.
then, part of my faith background is putting that back into the world for other people.
Mhm.
But that's a part of most faith backgrounds, right? Like giving out those good, you want to call them karma, vibrations, whatever, right? Um,
Yes.
to other people and giving as you have received. And that's how I mean, that's just how I feel about going outside. Like I can't, I'm like and I'm a outdoor evangelist. Like I can't help it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, so beautiful. Okay, so how many people have done the challenge since you started? Well, talk like what is the challenge? Walk us through like how do people sign
Yeah.
up? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we initially launched it just because we were so compelled of having these
Hmm.
transformative experiences, and we were like, "Hey, come join us!" And so since we've actually started, and I haven't tallied the final for 2021, but we definitely are at about 50,000 plus participants since we've
Wow.
started the challenge, who have officially committed and signed up through the website. And then we also have a finisher lists on our website, that people can check out if they're interested in reading stories and things of that sort. But yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of people do the challenge, and then the challenge has gone on to inspire people to do other big things and other huge outdoor communities. It's had a ripple effect,
Yeah.
and I feel like, kind of touching on what you just said, I was going through this 12-step journey when I was doing this challenge as well,
Hmm.
and surrendering to a higher power. And I feel like that this is actually a gift from that, because I was like, I
Mm.
don't know what I'm doing with my life, so do it for me. And I had such an inspiration to do this 52 hikes. And so it's like there's so much beauty in that whole process of surrender, and
Right.
in like following that internal voice, to do something. So it's been really impactful, and to see that and witness that is just such a gift.
Yeah. That's what we call it, the gifts of the program, right?
Yes. I agree.
um yeah. Yeah, and and what you're doing is so similar and obviously different in ways than what we do here at Humans Outside, which is just this like daily practice of heading outside and creating that habit and being in a community of people who do the same thing. And we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, but I when I found your website while I was doing research and looking for people who were doing similar stuff and could talk about what we'll talk about here shortly, which is habit building, I and successfully, right? I had this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this person is doing the same thing we're doing. And this person is, experiencing the same benefits. And all these people are also experiencing the same benefits. And for those who are listening, we will be launching at some point something very similar to what Karla's doing over there with where you can sign up and we'll have a program like that. And that's just sort of like a gift from the universe too. And then seeing that Karla's already doing that just made me feel like, hey, this is something that we need in this community too. So Karla, thank you so much for layering on the inspiration on that. I mean, what a beautiful thing. That's just so great. Okay, so when you talked, so the let's talk about the habit building. So when you talk to people about 52 hike challenge, what reasons do they give for not participating? Like what fears about participating do they have?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, what we read, because we take time to like understand what they're trying to gain. And
Sure.
then we have heard from people, participants, that they thought they weren't going to finish. And
Mm.
obviously, no one wants to start something they're not sure they're going to be able to
Right.
achieve.
Right.
It's just a normal thing for people to fear, because it brings up feelings of inadequacy. Am I not good enough? Like, am I going to be a failure if I don't do this? But what has happened is, as we've read these finisher stories and forums, is that people actually usually say, I found myself actually going out more than I realized I was going to go out. And now I'm
Mm.
trying to do 100 hikes,
Yeah.
or something to that effect. And so it's really interesting. The biggest thing I can tell people is commitment. Once you're committed, once you're like, I'm going to do this no matter what. Yes, it's normal for fear to come in. And I had
Mhm.
fear when I set this goal for myself. I thought to myself, shoot, am I going to be able to do this? But then I reminded myself, that's why we broke it out so simple. Once, you just have to go once a week for a year. So what I like to tell people is, yes, it's great to have that long-term goal and this big goal, but you need to break it out into smaller steps so that you can
Mm-hmm.
just focus on that little step in front of you. Don't
Mm-hmm.
focus on making it to 52 on day one. Focus on, I just completed one hike this week. I'm on track to complete
Right.
my challenge, right?
Right.
And so
And
that's what happens, you
and
know?
there are no, oh, totally. And there aren't any rules around what constitutes a hike, right? I mean, that's pretty loosely defined. Am I wrong on that?
We we ask people to do a mile minimum.
Okay.
And the reason we did that was for various reasons. One was because, we're trying to get more people out to be active. Like a part of our
Sure.
mission, knowing that my partner had, been, 80 pounds overweight, was we really
Mm-hmm.
want to encourage people to
Mm-hmm.
start getting active. Super
Right.
important, one of our values. And then the other thing was we want families to get out. And,
Mm,
hey, if you have a 2 and 3 year old, more than a mile might be really challenging for you.
absolutely.
So we wanted to make it attainable for pretty much anyone who wanted to take this commitment to being out in nature, and to make it feasible for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So so it's funny you mentioned length because that's not even what I was thinking. I was thinking like when people think about hiking, they think mountains and really steep trails and super far away from your house and like all of these things that aren't necessarily like we put the word hike and we put the word outdoors in a pretty small box typically, that it is a box in which it does not belong. When people ask me about spending 20 minutes outside, well, like how do you, like what does that mean? And well, I mean, is it outside? Because that's what it means. And so that could be, is a walk better? Sure. Is going into trees superior, quote unquote, to walking down a city block in terms of the benefit on your brain? Yes. Okay. Does walking down a city block still count as going outside? 100%. Is it still better than sitting inside? Absolutely. And so, sometimes I sit on my porch. I don't move at all, right? But it's about creating that habit and expanding your definition of this stuff. And I imagine that people who participate in your challenge aren't summiting a mountain every week.
Exactly, that's correct. And we have heard from participants who are like, yeah, we want to feel like, they may live somewhere that doesn't have mountains. And so
Right.
we said, kind of, allowing them to define what they consider a hike is fine. And we even said urban walks,
Right.
because you know what, you're still, like you said, getting out, and it's better than not, right? And staying
Yeah.
in and all of that. But yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why, it's not about going out into the mountains and the world. There's also accessibility issues. And so,
Right.
we really wanted this to be very inclusive as inclusive as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so talk to us about the advice you give for building that hiking habit. You mentioned take it in small bites. Is there anything else?
So much, so much. And I love this because my fiance and I were listening to this book the other day called, I think it's called Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
And,
I've read it. Yeah.
yeah, and we were like listening to it, and we were like thinking about it, and, again, making the commitment and actually signing up, like that in itself is pretty big, right? And so the other thing is like for what we're doing, we it's free to sign up, but if you want to support the challenge, which really helps us to not only pay our staff, but to create content and to do, I mean, there's a lot that goes into running this organization. So
Right.
anyways, if people want to support us, they also get a finisher medal, or they can get patches and stickers. But really the finisher medal is packaged and says, don't open until 52. So basically it's kind of like, hopefully they'll keep that in front of them. So so it reminds them. We have a journal. Hopefully that helps them when they're going out and journaling, which has
Mm,
space for 52 different hikes.
mhm.
We also have a log they can download. So believe it or not, having a written like paper where you're going and you're saying, hey, I did this. And like, that's such a big part of like any commitment you make, is like keeping some sort of a journal, right? Like staying accountable, letting people know. So we've actually kind of given people those tools and told them how to do the challenge. A part of it, we in the beginning, when I did my challenge, I was publishing a photo from each hike and then tagging it. That really
Mm-hmm.
helped me to remind myself to stay on track and
Yep.
announcing it to other people. So I was accountable to someone. And one of the stories we like sharing is there's been we've heard stories from people that were like, I told my friends I was going to do this challenge and then I was going to back out. But then they started calling me and saying, I want to
Mm.
go hiking with you. So that helped them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, accountability is huge. And, but how do you, yes, habit building. How do I get started? How do I, when it's, you know, habits are difficult to change. However, if you do little positive steps to start changing them, then it is possible, right? Like you can't change
Mm.
someone overnight. It just
Right.
takes little baby steps. So if for you it's putting your shoes out in front of the door to remind you, like I've committed to going to walk once a week, and that helps you to at least get out the door, that's better than not having done that one little thing that reminded you. And so,
Right.
again, it's just we're trying to tell everyone focus on your current hike and don't worry about anything else because
Yeah.
you don't want to overwhelm yourself and your senses and your emotions. And we could go on, but I think it's just common and how do I say this? I think when it comes to being who we are, it's easier to say you want to do something, but then like become unmotivated or
Mm-hmm.
procrastinate. It's just a part of life.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
especially when you want to change, I feel like that's when you get tested the most. You might be like, I committed to this challenge. And then, next week your car, is breaking down. So it's like, there's going to be obstacles that come in your way, but it's
Right.
that commitment that changes things. It's that
Yes.
not wanting to let yourself down and then taking those small steps forward.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned the accountability piece, because that's exactly what I have done and continue to do is post that photo a day. And I encourage people to use that hashtag just like you were using a hashtag. Ours is Humans Outside 365. And if folks follow that, they can see people who are doing this every day, and they can see my photos every day. So I mean, really, like I mentioned to you before we started recording this that today is literally my 1,400th day of doing this in a row. Okay. So that's today as we're recording this. Even, well,
Congratulations.
thank you.
That
Thank
is
you very
amazing.
much. On day 1,396. Okay. So just like this last week, right? I definitely had to go make myself go back outside and do something because it was beautiful here, but I was very, very busy. And I'm training for this really long race right now, but it was a day off of training. So I didn't have like my normal run. And I had sat in my hot tub in the morning. It's like an not Alaska requirement, but man, is it nice. I had sat in my hot tub in the morning. I wasn't entirely sure I'd been there for 20 minutes, right? I was just sort of part of my day. And I realized I hadn't taken a picture. And so I went outside again and did something else outside on purpose because I had not done that accountability piece that I needed to do to make sure I had met the goal I have for myself. And that's almost 1,400 days into doing this that I would describe going outside every day is just a part of who I am now. I don't usually have to think about it. It's just part of my day. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's still that you got to do that push. You got to be practical. You got to be intentional and you have to maintain the habit. Habits do not maintain themselves.
Absolutely. Totally agree with everything you've just said.
Hey humans, just a quick break to ask for a huge favor. If you're loving this episode, could you take a second to give us 5 stars or a great rating and review in whatever podcast platform you use? Those ratings help other humans find the podcast too and spread that Humans Outside love around the world. I can't thank you enough for listening and sharing your support through a rating and review. Now, back to the episode. Okay, so So you touched on this a little bit, but let's go back there. When people don't do their 52 hikes, so like let's say you get the medal in the mail, it's sitting before your eyes, and you shove it in a drawer, and because you failed to hike for a week, or you feel like you've gotten off track. What reasons do they give for having that happen? What are these pitfalls?
You know, I think the one that I recently read was someone had an injury. And
Mm,
so that,
mm-hmm,
that will happen. But here's what we say to people. Okay. We
mm-hmm,
say, if you've fallen off the wagon, you can start up again any time. That doesn't
mm,
mean that you can't try again. Okay.
mm-hmm,
And the other thing is most of the time people have at least gotten out 15 times instead of one
mm-hmm,
time that they used to. So we say, actually congratulate yourself for getting out there and for starting, because that's the hardest step, right? Another thing I wanted to add to that is that we've had people that literally wrote into us and said, I didn't finish for 2 years prior, and I finally finished on my third time. So
mm,
persistence, right? Like
mm-hmm,
not giving up. It's okay. Life is going to happen, things are going to come up, but you still have the opportunity to recommit yourself, start all over again, and earn your medal, and
mm-hmm.
you earn it, and say like, okay, life happens, and have that grace for yourself. And
Right.
it's okay to not, to have not been able to complete a journey. It's okay. We all go through this. I think we can all relate to that feeling of wanting to have accomplished something, and then it doesn't quite look that way. But again, talking about timing, sometimes timing is just not there.
Right.
But you can choose to go back to any goal at any point in your life, as long as you're in health, and
Hmm.
start all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a beautiful point. And I think that again, it may be, injury is one thing. If you cannot move for a mile, you cannot do a mile hike. Like that's all there is to it. Um, but going back to the box we talked about earlier, save actually being immobile, not being able to do that, maybe the thing is to think about the challenge a little differently and to maybe remove some of those unnecessary boxes that you had what you were trying to do in. So last year I had hip surgery. I tore the crap out of my labrum in my hip, and I had to have it repaired. And it was a major bummer because I am not a person who does well sitting in places or on crutches, and I had big goals and I didn't get to do them. And I was sad about it. Um, and I had signed up for the Marine Corps Marathon, which is a race I do every year with an organization to honor fallen service members. And it was just really important to me to be able to do that. I could not run 26 miles. I could not walk 26 miles. I categorically could not do that. I had had hip surgery. I was on crutches. It ain't happening. Um, and so I decided that I was going to pretend that this year's Marine Corps Marathon is literally one day at a time, and I'm just going to um, do a mile a day. And I was at a point where I could use my crutches for a mile at a time, and it was a big challenge for me to do that, especially in the beginning of those 26 days because I was still healing quite a bit, but it was possible, and I was able to do that. And I sort of redefined the thing I was doing to fit the thing that I was able to do. And you better believe I awarded myself that medal. I did not register my completion on the virtual Marine Corps Marathon website because it did not, I'm a rule follower too, and it did not qualify under their rules. But the medal had already been mailed to me, and you best believe that is hanging on my wall because I gave myself a challenge and I pivoted, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I was able to do that. But it was such a learning experience for me, a rule follower, to be able to say, I assigned myself this challenge. Nobody's making me do it. And so if I decide that I'm not able to do it or I'm not going to do it, then that's on me if I didn't find a way to pivot into something that could work for me. Doesn't have to work for anyone else, just Amy.
I love that. And I think that that's so important to define what it means to you. You know, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, we are not going to tell you how to define what it
Hmm.
is for you. It's if you are getting out into nature on a consistent basis, more consistent than you were before, and you had a
Right.
positive outcome and you did your best, then by all means, this is your own time to define that for yourself. We're not going to take something away from anyone who feels they surely deserve it, you know? So I
Right.
love that. I love that
Yeah.
story. And I think that it's wonderful for people to do that.
It might feel like there are, but there are no challenge police. No one's going to fast rope from your ceiling to, you know, figure out why you didn't do the thing. They're not. It's not going to happen. This is your habit, your challenge, and you got to remember, like, you're doing it for you. You're not doing it for somebody else. Um, and this is for your health. This is for your mental well-being, and this has made me a better person in my work and my life, and that makes me be able to do the things I want, more consistently, which is help my family and be a good world citizen, all that jazz. So
And
you
I
know
think nature, and that's so great that you say that because I think nature and being out in nature more often, that's one of the gifts is that you feel better, which equals you treating others better because
mm,
it's just nothing more than a domino effect. And, I think that's why I say I think nature is one of many tools that I use to help me in my life.
mm,
And I think it's a wonderful tool, but it's better than doing nothing, right? And so if you're
right,
feeling better internally because the world is struggling these days with stress and anxiety and depression, and
right,
we've just come out of a pandemic. I mean, we're still coming out of it, right?
right.
And we need to self-care. We need tools. We need things that help us to be our best selves. If we're not our best selves, we can't show up for those around us. And you best bet you're not going to have patience. You best bet you're going to be frustrated. You best bet you're not going to be in a good place. And so I think that having nature as one of our tools is such a wonderful gift. And not only
Mm,
is it a gift, it's free,
yeah.
it's
Oh,
free.
yeah. Yeah, free, accessible, right outside your door, all of those good stuff, and defined by you in a lot of ways. Take it out of the box, guys. Just release, set it free. Okay, so we talked a little bit about pitfalls. Do you have any other advice for how people can avoid those pitfalls?
I think again, like the big thing, first thing is first, have the commitment, that you're going to do your best, first
Hmm.
and foremost. Have grace with yourself. If something happens, we also tell people you can make up hikes, okay? So you've got 52 weeks and that's to make it a, timely goal. If you've heard of
Right.
SMART goals, feel free to look them up. But SMART goals should be specific, measurable, achievable. They should be timed and they should be realistic. Sorry, I kind of did that out of order. But, anyways, realistic and then
We're
time
picking up
based.
what you're laying down.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, it's super important to, really think about it, commit yourself, have that accountability, take people with you, have your friends go with you, take your kids, take it as a time to connect with others, even making new friends, take it, you
Mm-hmm.
can go to a local park and there are local parks where we're from in Orange County that do guided hikes and things of that sort. So you can make new friends and then, not only that, but as you start getting outside more, start educating yourself, go take a class and,
Right.
then start learning about like backpacking and camping. And, maybe now you start, it just opens up so many other doors, rock climbing and kayaking. I feel like once you unlock the outdoors, it's a gift that keeps on giving. And like you said, you can define how you spend that time out in nature, but immersing yourself is just so important.
Yeah, no, you're so right. So the most I want to tell you what my most recent gift is. I I am not with the insects. Like me and the insects. No, no, thank you. And I am categorically afraid of spiders. In fact, I'm even hesitate to say that term, you know, of that insect because I think the Google machine will now cough up more information about that than I want. I'm not interested. Please don't do that. Um, so I'm not really wanting like they freak me out. Let's put it that way. But I have noticed that I have a developed a muscle to be calm about this in a way that I was not before. I feel when I'm like surrounded by flies. I mean, guys, you go hiking somewhere, there's going to be a fly situation, and you're going to be like, "Get me the hell out of here." Um, I have found that I am much calmer about that. Like it doesn't bother me the way it used to. I'm able to let it go. It's like my brain has decided I am here and the flies are here and we're all here together. And that's okay. As opposed to, oh my gosh, they're swarming me. I must retreat, which is how my brain received that before. And I don't know. I just feel like I feel like been given this gift of coexistence with something that and it took me what 1,400 days to get there. But I never anticipated that I would feel like I was starting to get over that. I just thought that's how it was going to be forever.
What you're describing is really what meditation is. You just described meditation.
Mm.
Meditation
Mm.
is allowing your brain to experience an emotion and not reacting. And that is one of the reasons why I highly believe in outdoors. You're basically super present. You are able to, how many times, I don't know, I'm sure there's guests or, sorry, listeners that can relate to, you had this huge thing that happened to you, whether it was you thought it was a catastrophe, and then you went for a walk and you realized it's not the end of the world. I'm going to
Mm.
breathe and I'm going to just let it go. Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
what you're describing is, nature, you can practice, what I call a walking meditation, basically.
Mm.
And that is just realizing that I'm not my emotions, I'm not my feelings. I can actually detach and it's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
when we're not practicing this, or even if we're not even aware of it, we're just so caught up in believing we are the thought, we are the fear, but we're not. Like, we have the ability to become conscious and to like pull ourselves back and go, wait a minute, I need to just take a deep breath. Right.
That
And
is so good. Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. So if someone wants to get involved in 52 Hike Challenge today or, any challenge, what tips do you have for getting started? And then tell us specifically how to get involved in 52 Hikes.
yeah, I mean, definitely go to our website, 52hikechallenge.com. And, especially for beginners, people who don't know about what the challenge is, check out the original series, which is just committing to getting out once a week for a year. That's it. And you can do it faster, hike. If you
Yeah.
want to hike 3 times a week, we're not going to tell you not to do it. We even say if you want to do it as quickly as 52 days, that's the soonest you can finish if you really want to be out in nature every single day. But yeah, sign up and please support us. It really helps us to keep the community going. Basically, once you're signed up, you'll get a series of emails and our newsletter where we put different tips. For example, right now in California and probably around the US, there has been a huge heat wave, and we've been talking about hydration and safety and
Mm.
things of that sort. So we try to keep it also timely and keep reminders and things of that sort. So we do that, and we have programs, we do events and classes, and we invite everyone to come to those. We have all of our resources. We have tons of free resources on our website. And so that would be step one. And then step two, we also have like a guide, and there's everything they need to know up on our website under resources. So yeah, I mean, really that's pretty much it. And we really hope that people, I mean, nature does the rest, really. Once
Right.
you're out there and you're like seeing these beautiful vistas, I mean, it's it's really no time before you start realizing how good it is for your mind, body, soul, and spirit. And you just want to get out there more and more. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And guys, I am going to sign up for 52 hike challenge myself. I'm going to dovetail it into my daily outdoor habit, and add it on. And you're probably thinking, Amy, you go outside every day. Surely you already do 52 hikes. I'm going to try to do one hike a week for the next year. And let me just tell you how tricky that gets in the wintertime. So there are days where hiking does not sound so good to me. And I would rather huddle for warmth in my hot tub. So there you go. But I'm going to do it. So you guys should do it too. And of course, keep up your daily outdoor habit as well. Or start it. Just get started. Now, as Karla has said, now is the time, no time like the present. Take it one step at a time to get going. Okay, so Karla, I think I think we are kindred spirits. We could probably talk about this forever, but no one wants to listen to us forever, I'm afraid. So let's go to our leftover round. Can you tell us what your favorite and most essential outdoor gear is?
Absolutely. There's two items, and I'm sorry to say that, but yes, hiking shoes, and
Hmm.
absolutely like my go-to most important thing, especially because I tend to trip often. So I do trail runners a lot, but
Hmm.
I also have been using, like softer boots that have support for my ankle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So absolutely need to have a great pair of hiking shoes that are comfortable, that fit your needs,
Mhm.
and that have the most important thing, good traction.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I call it my leave no trace bag, right? Like,
Hmm.
please, please, please pick up trash if you can. Please leave it better than you found it. Please make sure to pack it in and pack it out. Super
Hmm.
important for everyone listening. Like, I really want to make sure that if we're getting more people outside, we're also creating stewards of the trail. Let's take care of the
Yeah.
trails. Let's so do our job in making it a beautiful place for others to enjoy.
Yeah. Oh, such good advice and two important tools. Going back to the hiking shoes too, we talk a lot here about how if you're going to go outside every day, the thing that's going to keep you from, one of the things that can derail you from doing that is being uncomfortable, because who wants to go do something that is uncomfortable? And a great defense against being uncomfortable is having enough warm clothes, especially obviously if you live somewhere cold. And so I have learned that style is not my priority, and now I am totally fine looking like a walking marshmallow in the winter time with my puffy pants and puffy jacket, and no regrets, buddy, because I am warm and I'm outside. And that is within my power to control by wearing enough layers, as simple as that. So that's that the hiking shoes thing, same concept, right? Like you gotta be comfortable, or you're not going to want to do it, you know?
And you're on your feet a lot, so your feet, you have to take care of your feet when you're out
Mm-hmm.
walking and you're enjoying, because again, our feet take a lot of they take a beating, so definitely
Yeah.
having even insoles, like as wearing thick socks. I mean, your feet are going to be doing a
Yeah.
lot of a load. So you want your feet to be comfortable. You want to make sure that you've tested out your shoes before you take them on long treks so you don't have blisters. I mean, we could go on and talk about feet for the rest of the show, but we won't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, those are such great tips and such good points to think about. Okay, so last but not least, because there always has to be a last. Walk us out with your favorite outdoor moment. I love to hear from my guests, just be able to envision myself where in a place that's really important to them and in a moment that they can harken back to. So if you have a moment like that, something that you close your eyes and think about your best moment outside, where are you? What are you doing? Take us there with you.
I love that question. And even though I have one that I go to and we kind of briefly talked about, I think given certain timings in my life now, what started the challenge was this vision of going to Machu Picchu.
Mm.
And a couple years later, I was able to go there. Unfortunately, the weather did not decide to be as gorgeous as I wanted it to be in my vision, right?
Hmm.
But I got to go. But in 2019, I believe it was 2019. Yeah. I actually had a chance to go back for a second time and actually do the trek up to Machu Picchu again. And being there this time, it really was like my vision, that
Mm.
started me on this journey, and being up Huayna Picchu, and I was journaling and I was celebrating a birthday, and just being able to go back and kind of reflect on all the years since the divorce happened, since I was
Mm.
feeling horrible in my life, and then realizing how much progress I had made and how much hiking had been a big part of that, and then just looking down and just feeling complete, whole, exactly what I felt in my vision. I think that's a testament that this journey, we're all on a journey, and your visions and your dreams can come true. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, Karla, thank you so much for sharing that vision and that dream and your methods and advice with us today on Humans Outside. I so appreciate you.
you're welcome. It's my pleasure, and thank you for reaching out. I'm excited to hear more about your journey and how you're going to help other people. And please do not hesitate to reach out for any support, because we all need each other. And contrary to believing we need to do it on our own, we don't. We need people, we need support systems. And I just want to contribute to that, getting more people outside together.
Well, thanks for listening to this week's episode of Humans Outside. If you've enjoyed this episode, why not give us a little love and leave a rating and review to make it easier for other listeners to find the podcast too? It really does make a difference. Until next time, we'll see you out there.